main technique in chocolate making is actually the tempering of the chocolate, which most people don't really think about. Nestle Professional Masterclass, which we have launched and started so that we can continue and may ensure that our experienced expertise chefs would share their knowledge to the industry and all budding chefs. So as you all know, chocolate is considered the food of gods, and it is a very specialized area. It is a very sensitive product, and many don't venture into chocolate making thinking that it's a very difficult subject to basically item to make. But I like to share some simple tips on as to how anyone can do chocolate making. We will do a few of the molded chocolates, some of the enrobed chocolates, and mainly the main technique in chocolate making is actually the tempering of the chocolate, which most people don't really think about. In chocolate, everything is in the flavor and the cocoa beans. In a nutshell, I would like to just tell you how chocolate is being made, the basic chocolate. Cocoa beans are collected from various parts of the world, especially the best beans come from Africa. And I think we have discovered today that the Sri Lankan cocoa beans also have real good international standards. It's just that we don't have the quantities. I'm working on a single origin Sri Lankan cocoa, chocolate, which hopefully should materialize within the next 1 year, and that is one of the objectives I have had, ambitions I have had for many years, but I think now we are able to do that because cocoa has been growing globally. So today I will just share a little bit of basic chocolate tempering, so that the tempering has to be something that you have to get right to get the rest of the finished product in the manner that you want it to be. So here I have with me some chopped the milk chocolate here, then we have some dark chocolate, and we also have white chocolate. So chocolate is, like I said, conched or extracted from the cocoa bean, which is dark in color, and what happens during the conching processes or during the blending process, where the cocoa butter is extracted from chocolate, and what remains after the extraction is basically used as cocoa powder, and the cocoa butter is what really gives the liquor or the flavor, which becomes quite an expensive product. So the dark chocolate is pure chocolate and cocoa butter. Then white chocolate is basically cocoa butter and milk powder, and milk chocolate is dark chocolate with a little bit of milk. The tempering process is also, what I am trying to show is something very manual. The reason being that anyone is able to try it even at home or even in their little hotel's working space. Another important factor is the temperature of your working area. So what we do is we have a simple double boiler here, where we use an induction plate, water, and we use the steam of the water to melt the chocolate on a double boiler. Okay. Basically, it is up to you to use your own innovation in combining flavors, designs, or even your garnishes on top of the chocolate. It's endless as to what you could do, as long as the product, you don't kill the aroma of the chocolate, and that's another point which I would like to talk about. Over tempering the chocolate also kills the flavor of the chocolate. So you got to be very careful, and this is why I want to do it manually and show you how it's been done, and also how to test it, at which stage should you mold the chocolate as well. You heat it to a very minimum temperature on a double boiler, which means the steam that heats the chocolate. Then you cool it, and the moment of usage will be, what we do is we test it manually on our lip. You test it on your lip, and you would feel the warmth of the chocolate on your lip. The moment you feel it quite cold, that is the time of molding. You can blend or combine your flavors with as you desire. It's always good to combine, let's say for example, if you have a sweeter filling, it's always good to coat it in a darker chocolate because dark chocolate has less sugar. You get dark chocolate which could be where even the cocoa butter content can be determined. You would have probably seen dark chocolate marketed as 34%, 54%, 74% is some of the premium signature chocolates, single origin chocolates which come from popularly from countries like Ghana, Madagascar, Java. So these all have their single origin identification. I first like you to all see the basic tempering and molding and enrobing of chocolate which anyone should be able to do in their homes or in their hotels. So a basic chocolate ganache is what you see here, and the recipes will be also available on the Masterclass program. You could do a ganache with the dark chocolate. You could use a milk ganache or a white ganache. There is also now what we use something called water ganache, and the reason being it helps these mainly for commercial production, because the water ganache helps to retain a longer shelf life in conditions that we are here today. In Europe the conditions are much different. It's there is no humidity and it's a dry cold climate, so chocolates survive really well in that climate. But here in tropical countries where we have lots of rainfall, dampness, moisture, it's a huge challenge when it comes to storage of chocolate. So for this reason we use a ganache also called which is known as a water ganache. Water ganache in the sense there is no cream in the ganache, but it tastes almost as good as a cream based ganache. We actually have about 80 varieties of chocolate here, and today, I mean many years ago when I did my chocolate training in Europe, there were very basic flavors or fillings that were being done, basically milk ganache, dark ganache, white ganache, and of course hazelnut, nougat, praline, all these fillings that were most commonly available. Experimented a lot with chocolates and going to lots of many tropical fruity flavors. That is what we have here. The variety with coconut. We also have products with some of the Nestle products from using Maggi coconut milk. We have the Nescafe chocolate, which is this one, which is also one of the most very popular chocolate. Then we have the Milkmaid, which we use for one particular chocolate, and that also could be flavored. It is more of a vanilla base, but you could flavor it with any strawberry, pineapple, passion fruit. You can be quite innovative with this. Then we have the Milo, which is a very chocolatey flavor as well, and that also adds more flavor to the existing cocoa dark chocolate ganache. So coconut also can be flavored. You can do a Malibu chocolate with coconut and Kahlua or Tia Maria or whatever. Then pineapple, yeah. But there are certain fruits that have to be stewed prior to using, because you cannot use. You got to stew it and use it with chocolate, because sometimes the acidity can react to some of the chocolate products. So certain fruits basically you got to experiment and choose what you really want to use. So even at this stage you could take it off the fire, and the existing heat in this chocolate would melt the other pieces of chocolate that are already here. And you can see the reason I clean the bowl is to ensure that there is no vapor or condensation steam that gets into the chocolate. You have to retain this shine and texture, which becomes very important when you unmold your chocolate. You will see the result. If the chocolate is not tempered properly, you might find a bloom or you might find a dull coating, but if you temper it properly, you will find an excellent mirror glaze when unmolding. So there are many types of chocolate making. What we have here today is we do these are molds, which I use to mold the chocolates, we first give it a coating of the chocolate, which is like dark chocolate or milk chocolate or even white, and then thereafter you can have any filling of your choice. Then we seal it and leave it for a couple of hours to set, or even probably overnight. A very manual way of testing it is, if the temperature is right, you just leave it on your lip and then you feel it warm or cold. The moment you feel it very at a very low warm temperature, almost cold, that is the time that it's ready to be used. Okay, so there are another way of also, if you really are not too familiar with molding it the way she will do it now, you can also use a brush, a simple brush, and coat the chocolate like this. Just make sure that you rub it right round to ensure that there are no bubbles that get left. Otherwise, the moment you unmold it, you will see the bubbles on the surface. The other method is, you can pour it in. You pour it straight away onto the mold. So this is a faster process, but this requires a little bit more experience in doing so. Okay, so now we are giving it the second coating. Okay, so that's the second coating also has to set properly, and it has to harden before we do the fillings. So again, ganache is made with melted chocolate and fresh cream, and we have also milkmaid which is added to this. So to pipe it into the cavities, for commercial production there are machines that basically do the job, and they send it through cooling tunnels. But like I said, I just want to show you a very easy manual way of doing it. Just to make sure you have enough space to do the final capping or sealing of the chocolate. So here we do our own fillings. Most places actually they buy the fillings which are already done, pre-made. We do our own fillings. Yeah, so we also will enrobe some of the chocolates or coat it. This is the molding process which we just showed you, and here she will coat these chocolates. So basically you can coat anything in chocolate. There are some who I know who even coat things like milk toffees or coconut toffees or anything that could be consumed with chocolate. You can definitely use it to coat, and the coating, even for the coating, the temperature has to be at the right temperature. In case it solidifies, you mix it again in the you temper it again and bring it back. And let's try coating these and place it on a grease proof paper always. Okay, so once you coat it, you could give it any garnish on top. If you need to add some something like some cashew nibs or dried fruit, before it hardens, you can just give it a little bit of a garnish with something. You could just give it a little bit of a little rough design on top, and we also show you now how you fill the ganache into the molds and unmold it. The reason being that you can play around or you can actually experiment with all types of flavors, and like I said earlier, different fruits, as long as it is treated properly. And so these also some of the flavors we use. Tropicana. So it's Tropicana, which has an assortment of fruits, So do join us on this Nestle Professional Masterclass.